Welcome to the Voice of the Agent Part 2, where we've been discussing portals, Proptech, AI, and now we move into the world of sustainability, or as some will call, woke nonsense. The reason why we're approaching this area is because on the 22nd of April, when this report comes out, it's Earth Day, and near to my birthday in August, we reached a point called Overshoot Day, which is the day when we actually use up the resource on our Earth that we don't have enough of. So the last 4 or 5 months of the year, we're actually using more than one Earth in terms of our resource consumption. Now, 1 in 13 new houses are built on floodplains. 1.8 million people live on floodplains, and it's only going to get worse as the weather gets worse in the United Kingdom. Now, that 1 in 13 is interesting because the same number, only 16% of respondents in the survey strongly agree that they understand what ESG, environmental, social and governance, means and why it matters. So, Victoria, is ESG being truly embedded in property businesses, or is it still something that lives in marketing decks, greenwash and HR handbooks?
Yes to the latter. No, I think there's a bit of everything. There is so much compliance and regulation around agents as a whole that there's a lot to take on board. And I think the smaller companies especially will struggle to do everything. And the bigger companies have as many issues, if not more. There are various things like paperless offices and all that sort of thing, which are quite easy to overcome. And you can have more modern cars. You know, there's still the debate about, you know, electric or hybrid, or, you know, which is better for the environment. Yes, you don't have the fossil fuels, but yes, you still have to get the resources in the first place. So there's a lot of bits and pieces that you just can't control unless the whole cultural society, everyone changes how they think and how they work. But we're very much a convenience society, and the fact that we can just jump in a car and do a quick viewing, you know, 5 minutes down the road is going to be preferential to any agent over walking 20 minutes to get there.
So it's not embedded?
No.
Should it be?
I think it's hard to be. I really think it is hard. You know, you can do certain things, and we discussed this on the train up yesterday. You know, yes, you can do virtual tours, but you can't hear the trickling water of the stream. You can't smell the I don't know, the Italian restaurant down you know, that's next door, or whatever it might be. You need to be able to feel and see and sense the property around you to know whether you want to buy it as a viewer. And as the agent, you know, their job is to overcome objections, and you need to be able to be there for that service, basically. So I think it's difficult. Yes, there are things that you can do to help, but I don't think you can fully embrace everything.
So 66% of respondents say climate change is real, and a majority of people accept it's caused by human behaviour, but only 1 in 25% say they strongly consider sustainability in their daily work. Some would argue, if Dale Vince was here, he would argue this is the largest threat to civilization that humanity has ever faced. Yeah. And it's only going to get worse, especially as we use data centers with our AI that use huge amounts of energy to keep them.
And we are seeing that, aren't we? You can't ignore it, can you?
1.8 million people live on floodplains, and floods are going to get worse. So while it feels like an existential threat, only 1 in 20 of us consider it in our day-to-day lives. Why is this belief in it being a big thing without there being the behaviour?
But is that actually, you know, 1 in 20, you know, is it really that bad that people don't even think about the basics about recycling? You know, how often do you see people at home, they will recycle, they'll have various bins for different recycling bits and pieces, but actually at work, do they have a recycling bin and a dirty bin?
The mode of travel is fine. It's just not quick enough, isn't it? I mean, first of all, as woke Whaley, I should probably get rid of this hat made in China. But the other...
Hold on, you need to take more off. You're getting rid of all the Chinese stuff.
Last thing you want to say to me. The other thing you said there as well, I liked it as well, is this stuff that's just included in, obviously, all those different things, marketing decks, HR handbooks, also estate agent award entries. That's probably the other main place. Do you know what? Even if you don't believe in it in terms of the existential threat, you know, element there is, you should do just because it's the right thing to do from efficiency. If you're able to, where Dale Vince does come very cleverly from is, he talks about you can do this cheaper, You could, sustainability. The point about it is, look, we all had bloody, Putin and Russia hold Europe to ransom over this. This is about independence as well and everything else. I think, again, weave it back to the previous conversation we're having. It's about that people aren't particularly good at long-term views, are they? But they are making the changes, whether that's heat pumps, solar, all of these different things that people are doing to go in the right direction. And your survey backs it up. 74% of people, and another one I looked at, are worried about climate changes. You can't ignore 74% of your potential audience, can you? I think you've got to be quite careful about how woke you do go out there, because the last thing you do want to do is alienate the 26.
Some of the words we got, we got several hundred responses, and this did appear more than once. This is just woke nonsense.
What did Quirk
say? it's anonymous. It's woke nonsense. So it's not an issue for this industry. It's not our responsibility to address it. It's got nothing to do with us. It's too big.
Miss out on the payout then. It's 700 billion in 2023 in terms of what is going to come from green technologies and everything else, to over 2 trillion in 2035, which is the same as the global oil industry there. It's going to represent 10.3 billion by 2050, which is 5.2% of GDP. That's in the wider world, but why would you possibly miss out on that? This is a commercial opportunity. So it's like, put your head in the sand if you want to. Put your head in the floodplain. But this is, this is a real thing, and if not, it's a trend that people believe in anyway.
But we've just told a whole bunch of people they've got to care about portals, they've got to care about Proptech, they've got to care about AI. Oh yeah, there's other government regulations. We think the industry should be regulated. There's enough regulations anyway. Oh, by the way, there's some ESG governance on here as well. Are we just asking too much of this industry?
I think there's probably a generational thing in this as well, in as much as there will be a lot of younger people who will be more conscious of this, and that maybe some of the people who are quoting woke nonsense may be at the other end of the of their life.
Good luck
with
employing them, because they're your workforce.
And it's also, these are the people that are your customers in the next 3 to 10 years as well. And it is very difficult to say we are consciously aware of this, we're consciously doing this. I think that there are so many marginal gains that you can have out of this. You don't necessarily have to focus on one specific thing to say we are doing this is how we're going to do things. There are multiple things that you can do. I mean, I was quite fascinated as to how carbon net zero worked, and actually, my interpretation before I really understood it was that it was very different from what it actually was, and how you can actually become carbon net zero as a business is actually very achievable. And I think if more businesses are aware of those things, and that will start to make a change. And again, we talk about marginal gains. Marginal gains in this world is massive, right? It's everything. It's how everything works. It's how Proptech works. It's how portals work. It's how every single thing. There are so many different facets to it. If you consciously implement some of these things, all of that will add up as an industry to make those changes.
Brilliant. Mark, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, when you talk to most individuals, they will say they care about the environment and climate change, but problem is the sacrifices you'd have to make to really make a difference are quite substantial. So people care more about their lifestyle than they care about the environment. So most people don't think about CO2 emissions when they're booking their holidays. It's more about, well, I need a holiday. I think the same with business. People care more about the profit than the environment. They still care about the environment, but profit's still much higher. Given that we live in a society where the whole society is underpinned by fossil fuels, the sacrifice we'd have to make to actually get to net zero is so big that any government that actually did it would get voted out immediately. I think the scale of the problem is quite substantial, and as an individual it's quite hard to actually move that needle and know what to do. So I think it's partly that there isn't a lot that an individual can actually do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's often thrown back. Well, if everyone thinks like that, then it will never change. But I agree with you in the fact that everyone's in their, sort of personal bubble, their nearest and dearest. I mean, the media doesn't help either. Like, we're told to car share or, recycle, yet I've written Taylor Swift down, but you could pick a celebrity or the F1. I know they're changing to trying to, sort of achieve net zero. But why do I have to car share when Taylor Swift can get a flight from Tokyo to LA to watch the Super Bowl and then back again because she can afford it? Now, she's doing more damage than I am. I mean, that's a generalized, for business, like Ben said, I agree. Do a couple of things and the rest will sort of come with it.
Do you want to spend more for your energy than you have to? Do you want to spend more on your costs of your basic business than you have to?
Can you?
All of sustainability is essentially, and there are 3 points of sustainability: people, planet, and profit. It's never been this. There is a group of dark greens who are very much in the hair shirt community, but I know I've watched the large debate over the last 30 years as nuclear has been accepted by the green movement, and it was absolutely a sin to believe in nuclear power previously, but now it's seen as a good one. But is this just a distraction? Should we even be talking about this when we talk about the voice of the agent, or aren't they busy enough?
I think it does take people. So the first time we met, well, at least sober is my recollection, I was listening to you on stage talking about that sustainability, wasn't it? A finding country. And I remember you going through in a lot of detail about it, and it absolutely resonated. You can't ignore what is one of the biggest issues, whether it's the previous AI going to destroy us or the planet here. Is we were talking about what you have to do with AI, and there should be more, constraints around it, how you can control the worst excesses. That's all we're talking about here, isn't it? It's just to try and put that into place.
I think the other thing that a few of you said, and I've seen this with the research again, is actually the next generations, they won't work for companies that don't have this in their. So the most talented people, they're looking for people. So this is 15 years ago. I worked with UBS, the Swiss bank, and if you started working with them, this is 15 years ago, your starting salary would be £50,000 to £75,000 as a graduate, and the most visited page on their website was the sustainability pages. And the most talented people would not go to them if they didn't have a commitment to sustainability.
That's interesting.
So if there's one thing, because this is a shorter section, but there's one thing the industry could do around ESG, sustainability, what should people watching this now do?
Marginal gains. I'm just going to repeat the same thing. Focus, that you don't have to focus on one specific campaign or one particular thing. Just look at everything that you're doing and just see where are those marginal gains that you can implement into your business.
Brilliant. Mark?
I think there's probably 2 things that I can think of that agents could do to reduce emissions is paperless and reducing viewings by using as much technology as possible.
And we know it's massive cost save. The wasted viewings is off the charts in terms of wasted viewings. Absolutely. Victoria?
I think you can get the teams involved in terms of sustainability and looking at, where viewings are being booked. Can you do them in a particular geographical order rather than flitting over the town and back again?
I think if they can see it as an investment in a long-term strategic plan that will win them more business, let's be honest, with new homeowners or new potential buyers, then I think, and Whaley's suggestion of, maybe looking at the metrics of your own website and measuring hotspots, seeing where actual traffic's staying on, what they're reading, how long they're engaging with that particular page. I think that's a great sort of yardstick for potential business.
Brilliant. So, my closing thoughts on this is the most capitalist thing you can do is be sustainable, because to your point about marginal gains, is wasting money on stuff that costs you more than it should is stupid business. So I'd argue, talk to BRE, talk to the Energy Savings Trust, talk to the Carbon Trust. There are many experts out there. There's a thing called ChatGPT that can really help you work out. And one bit of practical advice is many of you will actually have pensions or investments. I did this work with Der Spiegel 15 years ago, and for every £1 of real trade, things we buy, consume, spend, is £1. Financial trade eclipses it 28 to 1. So all of our economy is built on financial trade. So you have a pension, put it in a sustainable fund, put it in an environmental fund, and let it do good while you sleep. And you'll do far more than necessarily getting recycling bins, although you should do that as well. And remember, there is no planet B.